The rains that we had last week give some cow-calf producers here in Oklahoma the hope of wheat pasture. And that brings about questions about the use of wheat pasture, especially for replacement heifers. One question that I had this week was concerning the use of wheat pasture for bred replacement heifers, those that are going to calve next spring. We actually did a study clear back in the 90s looking at putting pregnant replacement heifers on wheat pasture around the first part of December. We ran them on the wheat pasture for 60 days and then moved those heifers to a lot with native grass on it that was close to the headquarters at our Lake Carl-Blackwell Range and here west of Stillwater. Over that 60-day period of time that those heifers were on that wheat pasture, they were gaining at a rate of about 3 pounds per head per day. And by the time that we got them to the headquarters to calve them out, those heifers were in an average body condition score of about 6.5. That meant that half the heifers were 6s, the other half were in the body condition score 7 category. We had a corresponding 2 other groups of heifers, one of which was on a self-fed growing ration that was to mimic the same growth that the heifers on wheat had, and a third group that was just out on native pasture getting adequate amount of protein supplement. One of the things we looked at was the birth weights of the calves born to those 3 groups of heifers, because we'd heard for years that heifers growing on wheat during the winter would have very, very large birth weight calves. Well, it just wasn't the case. The average birth weights were not different between those 3 groups of heifers. It is about 75, 76 pounds for all 3 groups. What we did find was a little more calving difficulty in those heifers coming off of wheat pasture, where they'd been on wheat solidly for 60 days. And I think it's because we had fatter heifers. A little more fat buildup in the birth canal gives us more calving difficulty. So, how do we want to use that wheat pasture this year if we've got some bred replacement heifers that we'd like to take advantage of this high quality feed for those heifers? I would suggest that we use our rotation. Put the heifers on the wheat one day and then off onto a native pasture or Bermuda grass pasture or into a lot with just round bales of grass hay for about 2 days. Use the wheat pasture as a supplement, not as their full diet. I think it'll provide enough protein and energy to give them adequate growth. Monitor their body condition closely. You want them to calve in a body condition score of a 6, and then we'll have excellent calving situation as far as calving difficulty, and the heifers will rebreed for us well next year. I would not suggest that we run the heifers on the wheat full time as their complete diet throughout the course of winter. I'm afraid they'll just get too fleshy for us at calving time. So using that wheat judiciously makes a lot more sense if you're going to grow some bred replacement heifers with wheat pasture as part of their diet this year. Hey, we look forward to visiting with you again next week on Sunup's Cow-Calf Corner.